Hello there, I'm Sean Greasley and welcome to another breathtaking edition of our SQL tutorials. In this tutorial I will be describing the check function within the SQL environment. Now, what the check function does, you may ask, is that it provides a certain validation. It's a constraint for when people enter information into our database. We want to ensure this data goes under a set of constraints. For example, when someone enters their age, we don't want it to be a letter, do we? Because age go in numbers, usually from 1 to slightly over 100 in rare cases. So we want to ensure that age is, for example, less than 150 and more than 1, or more than a legal age for whatever your database is for. For example, over 18, then age might want to be over 17 or more than equal to 18, for example. So this is what the check function can do for us. It can actually put some data validation, verification into our database, so we ensure that when we collect data it is sufficient, realistic, and we can actually perform more functions with this. So this is what the check function does. What we're doing now, we're creating a table like before called tester. We have a ref number, which is a primary key of 4-digit long of number type specifier, the name, the age, and the location. Now, for example, let's look at the age here. We've specified it's a number of 2 characters long, so it's tied down to a number of 2 characters, so users can only enter a value between 1 and 99, for example, but they can enter 0, which is what we don't want, and maybe negative numbers as well. So let's provide a little validation into our age here. What we do, we write the check function here, open our parenthesis, we then enter the field we want to validate like so. Then we use the between function, as we covered in our more complex AND statement tutorial. So age between 1 and 120, something like that. We then may want to check the location. Let's think about the syntax here. It's the in statement, because we're using a more complex OR statement, so we're using in. Open our parenthesis. So for example, if someone types a location and they use a combo box for this, I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but a combo box is similar to a drop down list. You click the little arrow, you've got a list of options. But with those, sometimes, for example in Visual Basic applications, even though you've got your pre-selected set of options, user can still enter their own information and override this. And also in some cases they can edit source code and change data. So let's insert our combo values here, for example. So we only want people from, say, Sheffield, London, Birmingham. I apologise in advance for any areas I haven't included, it's just a quick example. So if we just end that there. So we're checking that the age is between 1 and 120, and we're checking that the location in Sheffield, London, and Birmingham. And let's check that I've closed all our parentheses. We've opened one here, we've closed one here, open, close, open, open, close, close. There we go. So always a good idea to check how many parentheses you have opened and closed, because you can get confused when statements get more complex. So that looks okay to me. We'll just copy that, execute, and the table has been created. So let's describe this. Okay, as you can see, there's our table we have just created. Let's try and insert some values into this and test out our validation. So insert into tester. Enter all the values in. So we'll have a primary key of 1. Name can be anything. The age is under strict validation, so we'll say 21. And the location is under strict validation again, we'll try Sheffield. because we know that's right and it should function correctly. We execute this. One row created. Now let's copy this and select all from our table we've just created. As you can see, it's entered quite happily in there. So if we mess a little with our, remember to change the primary key first, otherwise it will throw an error. The name's okay, that can be the same. Let's say the age is 179. No, that wouldn't work because our field length is 2, remember. So let's try 0. That should work. So 0 would chuck an error under our check statement because we've specified 1 to, I think it was 130, something like that. And we'll keep the location the same. As you can see, we've got an error somewhere. It says check constraint violated. That's our check function, and it's probably saying that the age is 0 when we specified a value between 1 and whatever we inserted in there. And as 0 is outside, it's throwing an error. But if we change this to 2, one row created. So let's keep 2 the same but change our location. Say Sheffield with more F's in. And as you can see, our check constraint has been violated and data hasn't been entered into our table. So that has rounded up the check function. I hope you enjoy this function and imply it into some of your databases to ensure validation is taking place promptly. I've been Sean Grizzly. Thank you for listening and good night.